Yo, what's good? Welcome to another episode of Fun with Dumb. We're here in my Koreatown headquarters, joined by a friend that we actually haven't talked in a long time. This is first time catching up in months, maybe even a year. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think the last time. I mean, I saw you at E's memorial concert.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That was within this year?
Within the year.
Within the year, yeah.
But maybe like 8 months or something.
Yeah, and this is a friend who's helped out a lot of our core group with, touring, and also a fellow collaborator in our circle, Mr. George Watsky.
What's up, man?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here, man. Good to talk to you.
Nah, thank you for finally pulling up. He's always been down to do it. We've just been trying to figure out a time to do it. And first and foremost, man, just how are you?
I'm good. I just came from a rock climbing lesson. I'm trying to get exercise. I live in a complex that has a rock climbing gym at it.
Ooh, that's tight.
And I never exercise usually, but I'm trying to be on my New Year's resolution.
That is a fire amenity,
thing.
By the way. A complex that has a rock climbing situation.
It's this spot called the Brewery Artist Lofts that used to be the old Pabst Brewery, and then in the early 80s they converted it into visual artist live workspaces.
Oh wow.
And I live in a loft with a 65-year-old man.
Oh wow. That is some Watsky ass shit right there.
That's what everybody says. They're like, dude, you're the old I swear I knew you were gonna live with an old man or something. And then my other roommate was a stilt walker. It's just like a Burning Man, weirdo community of cool people that also has a rock climbing gym at it.
Yeah, I mean, let me just I forgot to kind of give an intro for those who may not be familiar with Watsky. He is an all-around artist, from musician to poet, visual artist. You're a writer who's published a couple books as well, right?
One. I did an essay collection.
And a spoken word artist turned hip hop artist, and have been touring very successfully for the last decade now. And you've taken me out on some of the most longest runs at a time. You do these really long runs of 30 plus cities.
Yeah.
And it's intense for sure, do you think you have a little bit of that figured out a little more? Because I know when I went out with you a couple times, there was a lot of conflict even within the group, which is natural, right?
I was a stress case. I mean, I think you came on my first tour, 2012. The Nothing Like the First Time tour and the Cardboard Castles tour. Yep. So the first two big ones. And I mean, I was so stressed because I wanted it to work so bad. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it's what? That was 2012. It's 2020. That's almost a decade ago.
That's I didn't even think about that.
So crazy.
And both of them, I mean, it's you had the first one and then the second one, Cardboard Castles, and both of them still had kinks that had to be worked out.
Yeah.
Does that ever really end?
I mean, I think we have a formula now.
Right.
I don't get stressed on the road anymore. I've learned to delegate a lot of decision making to other people who are good or better than me at what they do, So I feel like maybe starting with my Welcome to the Family tour, which was 2018, was the first time I went out and felt I've always enjoyed touring, but it's the first time I went out and I didn't feel stressed at all. I was like, we figured out how to run this, how to divide the jobs. There's a lot of logistics, and I feel like just setting it up to a way where it's going to run smoothly and people aren't going to get stressed, and you have a chain of communication and stuff. I think it took us 6 years to get to that point where that was in place.
And I will say, I mean, I have the same experience of putting together these super independent tours, and it really takes a lot of the patience of someone who is the headliner who's a tour is around. You know what I'm saying? I know for me too. A lot of the times when I'm headlining a tour that I organized, there's conflicts within everyone below me, and I just kind of have to step in and be like, yo, if I'm cool, then you all could be cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you set a tone. I mean, I remember, and I think about this when I think about how my own relationship with touring has evolved and how my mentality has changed, and how I'm grateful that I've been able to do it long enough that I'm not as stressed as I was at the beginning. But I think about a moment, and I apologize to you for this a couple years ago, but I still think about that moment at the Paradise Rock Club in 2013 where you went a minute over your time or something, and I snapped at you for going over your time.
I don't even remember that.
But. You don't even remember? It sticks with me though, because I remember being butthurt. I was
right.
I carried a lot of stress basically, and
You are a road warrior. I feel like you get that probably bugged you because of how meticulous you are about everything, with your live shows. And there was a time I feel like you got really, really into touring. Like you loved it.
I do love it, but I also overdid it. I mean, from 2012 to 2014, the show that I did with Brandon, like that rolled right from 2013. I jumped off that rafter in London in 2013, and I was just in a fucking weird headspace. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. I felt like I had to maximize this moment that was still kind of the moment of the viral video,
right? That
was still percolating.
Was that like when that peak of when you stage dive from that crazy rafter? Like was that peak like you just got a high off of keep challenging yourself every show, or what was it exactly? It was
always wanting to maximize any show to make it as entertaining as possible for the audience, and to have it be the kind of thing that I'm at Warped Tour in London. This is by no means a defense of that decision, because it was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever done in my life. But like, I think my mentality was, I'm here with all these other artists. There's 15 people on this bill. What am I going to do so that these people are going to remember me afterwards?
Right.
So that the people who didn't come to see me are going to want to check me out in the future. It definitely wasn't, let me do some reckless shit and possibly like maim or kill someone. And when you watch how high it was, it's crazy to think that wasn't in my mind, because any like correctly thinking person would realize this is an extremely dangerous thing to do.
That shit, till this day, I see that video and it looks so fucking crazy high.
It's so stupid, man. I mean, I was getting away with jumping off of shit and getting egged on by the audience. They would cheer for me. They would chant my name afterwards. Again, not an excuse for it, but an explanation of where my mind state was a little bit. An escalation of antics and stuff. And the shit hit the fan. And fortunately for me, like, I didn't kill someone or myself.
I mean, I'm sure it's the adrenaline. Was there ever another situation where it was just as dangerous as that, or would you say that was pretty much the most dangerous situation you ever put yourself in?
I think I took like whatever I'd done before that and multiplied it by like a factor of 2 or 3 in that moment.
Oh, was that like an exponential jump from?
Leap, like literally. There was. I mean, the only thing I could compare to it was we played Freak Fest in Madison, which is on the University of Wisconsin-Madison campus, their annual Halloween festival. And I was on the show with Chitty Bang, and we played right before them. It was like a big campus thing, and it was outdoors, and it was in a street that was shut down that was lined by frat houses on either side of it. And I, in the last song of our set, ran off stage, ran down the block, asked some frat kids who were standing on their porch if I could go into their house, and then I ran up the stairs of the frat house and then onto the roof of the frat house, and then jumped off the frat house roof into the crowd.
Oh shit! I like how you just MacGyver these like routes to get up somehow.
We were also all wearing Ninja Turtle costumes as a band.
That's amazing.
And I created some conflict with my band in that moment, because it was still in that zone where I was trying to tell the band, like, now I go with the flow. If people aren't into something, if we're not as a group down for something, I immediately abandon the idea. But I was like, we got to dress up in costumes. We got to do something fun. Let's go to the Halloween Superstore in Wisconsin. And like, we got Ninja Turtle costumes, and there were like 3 good ones. And then Pat Dimitri got the like crappy one because they didn't have enough like good foam costumes.
That's amazing.
He had to wear the like non-muscle suit Ninja Turtle costume.
I'll say another thing. I love that till this day. I mean, when I first joined your tour, it was about 8 years ago, and you still you've kept the same crew.
Very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, Pat played guitar on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Koosh was the organ player. He's still in the band. He switched to bass because he doesn't like carrying around that big ass B3 organ.
He was. Y'all would lug that thing around across country.
He had a chopped down Hammond B3, and he wanted to do it because, I mean, not just because he grew up on Soul Live.
That's some purist shit right there.
Those of you who know the band Soul Live, that's the I think the Neil Evans setup. I could be wrong. It could be a different musician in it, but it's a clavinet stacked on top of an organ. And Koosh is really good at multiple and stuff. But then he realized like this is fucking
That was
heavy.
that was some purist shit right
It's
there.
cool. I mean, it's on the live album from that tour. But yeah, he's just plays bass now and plugs in. And
Yeah, I mean, and then also even in this, you got an upcoming tour, but you have all these like a lot of the opening acts are people you've rocked with for like last 10 years. You know?
Yeah, I mean, what I tried to do this time was bring a main support who could ride the bus with us and do the whole tour, and then have the other acts who wouldn't have to commit to as long a section of the tour, who are like all the homies from the past, and you know, for like Spose or Wax or Chukudi, who used to drum for me, who is still the homie. He's playing LA. You know, they'd only have to roll up for one show and wouldn't have to give up a week, 2 weeks,
Right.
a month of their lives. But yeah, it's a lot of the usual folks. That was kind of built into the whole vision behind this tour, which we're doing these 4 shows where in each of the cities that I wrote the corresponding album to, we're playing that album back to back.
Oh wow.
So like in LA, I'm doing the All You Can Do album that I made with Breezy, and in New York, I'm doing Times Infinity, which I wrote there in 2015. San Francisco, I'm playing Cardboard Castles, and then in Boston, I'm doing my self-titled one that barely anybody's heard, but I made when I was in college, and you know, that's where I went to school.
By the way, you're looking at some of the few people who have toured with both Breezy Lovejoy and Anderson .Paak.
Yeah.
Actually, let me just throw that out
Man,
there.
Two different people.
2 different people, same guy.
Dude, Breezy Lovejoy is the one who couldn't dance yet. I couldn't believe, man. I've seen him a few times since, you know, his huge break.
Yeah.
And he's so fucking good at dancing now.
You know what? He was like the dude who was definitely like warming up. Like I would always see him practice a
Yeah.
little bit. You know what I mean?
I mean, he could always move, and he always had so much confidence that he would throw his whole body into everything.
Right.
And I feel like because he's not tentative and he was always like so passionate, it was an infectious energy in his movement. But now he has moves. He has like Prince moves.
And he's like
shit.
funny too. He's so funny. I just saw clips of him on Price is Right, and he's just
Oh my
fucking
God.
ridiculous.
They did like a celebrity episode or something.
Yeah, and he's just they call his name up. He's acting like a guest. And he's just wilding on stage,
That's
Millie
tight.
rocking and everything. It's just
Who's the host of Prices right now?
Drew Carey.
Oh shit.
Drew Carey.
Is he still saving the dogs in Spain and neutering them and stuff? Or
Is that what's going on?
I mean, that was the Bob Barker thing. Spay
Oh.
and neuter your pet. I don't know why he was so obsessed with cutting dogs' nuts off, but like that was.
That's a strange cause like that you dedicate your whole thing to. It's like everyone's like, how about this? Kids in Africa starving. How about water in Flint? It's like, no.
I
let's
don't
go.
want dogs to have testicles.
This is my focus. We're gonna focus on this. This is what my charity does. And
I
that's
know
it
it needs to be done. I understand it's a good thing to do. I'll say that, but yeah, it's
It's strange. It's strange. Let me ask you this, because in the last couple of years, I've kind of we catch up once in a while. Like we don't hang out often, so when I check in with you once in a while, I find you kind of in a little retreat of some sorts. I feel like you know you either move somewhere or you're just kind of isolated. Whether it's working on a project or sometimes it's not even art related.
yeah.
Is that something you just kind of like need for yourself, or or something happens maybe that you know?
I mean, what I found that's worked for me as a lifestyle the last few years is to do these tours and then to energize myself to want to do it again by not being on the road for a while, and also not being on the internet for a while. So I'll like get off social media for 4 or 5 months, and I'll try to get my head straight and figure out like, you know, what's the next phase of what I'm gonna do. Try to grow as a person. Try to have that reflected in my next album, my next project, and the way that that's been the last few years is that I've subletted some spot and lived at some like new place because I've been moving around and had my shit in storage. It's worked, but I'm also kind of sick of it, and I'm hoping that after this tour I could maybe buy something and like
Right.
kind of build a more like adult lifestyle, an adult version of that.
Yeah.
Still like have the creative retreats, get off the internet. And what's been cool about that, at first it was scary and thinking like, oh fuck, I'm gonna get off Twitter and then my career is gonna slip away because I'm not posting about every current event thing that's happening. But I realized it was the opposite. Like I'd go away and then people and my fans would be excited to have me back
Right.
because you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I think it also magnifies what you do choose to say if you say a little less on the internet.
Yeah.
So it's
I
been
feel
nice.
that. I feel that. I'm doing a little too much on the internet right now, but I actually need that kind of detox. Soon actually, and I've been thinking about that a lot. This episode of Fun with Dumb is brought to you by BetterHelp. Is there something out there that's interfering with your happiness? Well, BetterHelp Online Counseling is here for you. I know in the Asian community, therapy is very taboo. We didn't have that really growing up. We kind of had this like get over it mentality, and there's a lot of built up trauma in our community. So even for me, therapy was something I was scared of, but I've used their service here, and they connect you with professional counselors in a very safe and private online environment. You can get help on your own time, at your own pace. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions, and you can even do this through chat and text with your therapist. We got licensed professional counselors that specialize in depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, sleeping, trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief, self-esteem. And anything you share is completely confidential. They have 3,000 U.S. licensed therapists all across 50 states. I think this is a great service for anybody who might be nervous about therapy. And if there's financial aid that's available for those who qualified, super affordable. And best of all, right now, for all my listeners, you get 10% off of your first month with the discount code FUNWITHDUMB. So all my Fun with Dumb listeners get 10% off your first month with discount code FUNWITHDUMB. That's no spaces. So go to betterhelp.com/funwithdumb to get that 10% off. You fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get they match you up with the counselors that you'll love. That's betterhelp.com/funwithdumb to get that 10% off. Trust me, do this for yourself. 2020, health is wealth. Take care of your well-being, man. I wanted to ask you this because every project you have is so, it's curated so well with, collabed really well with, directors and graphic designers and everything. I want to know like the process you go through from whether you lock yourself in and think about what the concept of the next project is going to be, you writing. I want to know from like beginning to end when it comes out.
I mean, I'll talk about the context of this next project that I'm doing because that's like the escalation of kind of how I've been looking at them for the last few albums, which is after I did my 2016 album, Times Infinity, which was 18 tracks, and you were on the last track, Exquisite Corpse. Mm-hmm. The whole idea was to have the most minimalist is an aesthetic where you boil things down to their most essential components and then have something that's like really tasty and just a few lines defining what you want people to think. That was a maximalist album. It was like horns, strings, 18 tracks, concept songs, like songs from different people's perspectives, songs that are 4 verses long and that they change it completely in the middle of the song, and then a 4-song suite with classical music at the end that tells the story of all these interconnected stories. And then after that album ends, it has an 8-minute bonus song after 3 minutes of silence that has like 7 guest rappers on it. I wanted it to be like so extreme that it's like it got so extra that people are like, this is fucking whack.
Did that happen early on, like going into it? You're like, I'm gonna make this the most layers of shit.
I was like, I love rap that plays with form and plays with like what the genre can be. I want this album to be my experimentation for that, and I want to make it extreme, and I want it to go around the horn of people thinking that it's too much to people feeling like it's enough again. Like when something becomes so hot that it feels cold. And then after that, I put out a 9-track album called Complaint in last year that I think maybe some of my fans were a little bit surprised by its lack of ambition because it was only 9 songs. It was like a breakup album. It had pop elements and stuff. But we're recording this before the announcement's happening, but now it's coming out after. My second album, the surprise is that it's part of a 3-album series.
Oh, wow.
I've been sitting on this reveal. Like, I fucking hate keeping secrets, but my thought process was, okay, I did this really ambitious album. I don't want to stop getting more ambitious. I want to keep getting more ambitious, but I want to acknowledge that 18-track albums that you go crawl into a cave and then sit on for 2 years, and then I put out a music video for every song on the album. I basically bled my bank account dry. Like, it was not a financially like wise decision. It had nothing to do with the way music's being released in this era. So my goal was like, how do I escalate the ambition and then marry that to an acknowledgement of the way that music works in 2019, 2020. And so what I came up with was a series of albums that operate like as a cohesive series together, but each album tells its own part of the story and can be consumed like on its own. So I sat down with a data scientist, a linguist. My idea was I'm gonna have a three album series, and I love threes. I love nines. Like 3 is my life number. Like I've always been a 9 person. I love traditional storytelling and like 3-act story structure, beginnings, middles, and ends are always how I've like conceived of my projects. So I was like, okay, I want this project to be based around threes and triangles, and I started like dropping in these 3 concentric triangle hints even before my album came out, because I wanted people to see retroactively all of the clues that I was going to plant about the significance of this, that once they get the second album and the third album in the series, they're going to be able to experience deeper layers of meaning in the first project than they experienced the first time around.
And is it like a beginning, middle, end feel?
Yeah, and so this data scientist, this guy named Bernie Beckerman, who I've known from San Francisco for years, and then went off to be this like PhD candidate at the University of Chicago in data science. At first, I was trying to do this on a sheet of paper where I wanted each of the albums to have block text for the title, and Complaint on its cover is in big block letters, COMPLAINT, 3 columns and 3 rows. And I said to Bernie, like, I want this series of albums to have a word puzzle that when you put the 3 covers next to each other, you can read the title on each of the covers, but you can also read across the 3 covers that they're basically like, you know, this organism that exists together. And so we created this set of rules before knowing what the titles were, an algorithm that told the computer what the rules were and then fed the English dictionary into it. And the rule was you needed to be able to read it across each row and then also within each cover. Shit. It was crazy because it was an experiment, you know. It might not have worked. It might have been these words that it gave us that are like, you know, so crappy and like gimmicky that I would never want to write an album around it. And then it spit out one answer.
Okay.
One set of 3 words that worked this way in the whole English language that interlocked this way. And I'm not going to say the third one because I'm not talking about that yet, but the first one was Complaint, and the second one was Placement, and the third one
is soon to be revealed.
Well, in like a year or something, I don't know, or 2 years, who knows how long it'll take me.
That's interesting.
I'll tell you if you just bleep it out or something.
No, you can tell me later. I could wait too.
I'll show you, because I had a little 3D object made that was my promo video of releasing this thing, and I had it like made into a piece of brass that I could sort of like, without explaining what it was happening, show people how I was doing this. So Complaint was the first one, Placement's the second one.
And you're gonna put it here?
I left the third side blank because, you know, I'm not talking about that yet. But basically you can read it reflectively, and
this will be a key to a door you can unlock hundreds of years from now.
Goes to the champagne room.
That'll have the rhyme books of Watsky.
Yeah.
And whatever you choose to do with those rhyme books, aliens.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So anyway, everything flows from the original, you know, your first question, like, how do I come up with the idea? And how do I fill in everything else? The original idea is just, I want to do this segmented project. It's in 3 series. Each album has 9 tracks on it. So it's going to be 27 tracks of this like whole project overall. And then every like artistic choice, visually, music videos, the tour itself flows from that first decision.
Right.
And then like, what's the organic choice that, you know, comes from that. And, and then to try to treat every element to it with just the same care. That's why I'm doing those 4 albums in different cities, because Placement, to me, what I interpreted that to be was the album about the city I grew up in, the places that made me who I am. And whereas Complaint was about a very small, like zoomed in portion of my life, that like few months I was living in when I wrote it, the breakup I was going through. Placement is about people and environment, and I was like, why not go into the environments where I made my albums and perform them?
That's tight. Did you feel like when the words came back, like it was like a sign?
Yeah.
Did you feel like that?
Hell yeah. And I'm not like, I'm the most skeptical motherfucker in my friend group. Like, I'm pretty much agnostic, leaning atheist. I don't really believe in fate, but I also believe in saying yes to things that present themselves to you. Yeah. And when those words came back, I was like, I'm going to spend the next 3 years of my life doing this.
What if it was some bullshit word? Would you have made a whole...
No.
Like, goober.
Well,
it's like...
It would have been tough if it was really like riding the fence between a bullshit word.
Yeah.
If it was super bullshit, like, booger or like fart sniffer or something, or like, like...
You're like, fuck, how am I going to make this deep?
Yeah.
Shit.
And honestly, placement was the one word that was like kind of the fence-sitting word. I was like, this seems kind of vague.
Right.
But the more I thought about it, the more I found my own meaning in it.
That's cool.
And like, I have all this like rhythmic rap that I do. I feel like syllable placement had something to do with that. And like, if I end up exploring privilege, like placement, displacement, like people moving around, it felt actually more relevant the more I started to think about it.
That's sick, bro. I want to talk a little bit about your music videos too, because I'm always inspired by your music videos. I'm a dude who, wants to do non-traditional hip hop videos too, and you're like, I've always tried some shit with my budgets. We all try to do finesse some stuff, but you've had some really great videos, and I think a big part of that is like you collaborate with a lot of people who are equally as passionate about just making it work, whether there's a big budget or not, but also like. You went to like school with some of these people too, right?
Yeah.
You went to Emerson.
Yep. In Boston.
And which a lot of artists. Sorry,
that's cool.
That's a Korean chatting app.
What is that sound?
That's when you get a message. It's Kakao. It's the Korean like WhatsApp.
Oh. It says Kakao.
You uncultured fuck. No, I'm kidding.
My bad.
I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about like that. I mean, is this something like right out of school you guys just kept in touch and just continued that relationship? Or did you guys also collaborate in school?
The people who became my closest music video collaborators, well, one of them, Jackson Adams.
Yep.
He's been like one of my best friends from Emerson since sophomore year.
Shout out Jackson. Also,
shout out Jackson Adams.
Directed and co-wrote with me on Run DMZ.
Yep, he's the man. But most of the other like heavy music video collaborators of mine, Brad Simpson, Alan Gwizdowski, Jess Dunlap, I met them in LA like a year after graduation. But I met them because they were running in the same circle as my filmmaking friends. So yeah, I mean, my music videos are good because of the people that I collaborate with, like super talented cinematographers, and I'm really involved, but the reason they look good is because of the talented people that are willing to keep working with me. This most recent one that we went and shot in Namibia, I mean, budgetary concerns and creativity were part of the reason it ended up like that. Like my whole idea with also placement and places being a big thing was like, let's go shoot some videos and make this planet that we live on, the star of the video. Like there's so many cool places on the earth. I ended up spending a lot of money on these like 15, 20 person crew videos in LA just to pay people like a reasonable day rate for them.
Oh wait, I also saw like a making of, didn't you guys choose the place you guys are going to go into like a very interesting way?
We chose it by just sitting down and saying we want to do something in a crazy, amazing, beautiful place on Earth.
So you're just tossing out ideas. What are some of the other places you guys have tossed out? Like,
I mean, actually, when I started doing this series, I had a whole sheet of like all the cool places I wanted to go to, and two of them that I most wanted to film in like don't exist anymore in the way that I wanted to do them. There was this forest in Eastern Oregon that I saw. I think we might have been on tour that time, or maybe it was like a van tour that I did, but I was driving through Eastern Oregon and I saw this forest where all the rows of trees were in like perfect grid pattern.
Oh, wow.
For like 2 miles. And they were really tall. They were like 40-foot, huge, like not pine trees. They're the kind of deciduous trees. They lose their leaves in the fall. And I went and looked at pictures of this place in the fall, and it's fucking crazy. You're in this like matrix of trees, and people go shoot like wedding photos and stuff there. They have to sneak over a fence to do it. But it was a tree farm.
We were just talking about this. People be traveling these beautiful places for the wedding photos.
Yeah.
You got to get the fire wedding. Like the wedding photo game right now is competitive as fuck.
Dude, Instagram's. I mean, I don't know if you did a tally of like all the people that had fallen off of buildings that they were trying to like selfie take or something, but yeah, it's dangerous out there, man.
You were saying, but you were at maybe and you saw some people taking wedding photos too there.
Yeah, in the dead tree forest, and actually where I shot the second video, I'm not sure if it'll be out yet when this airs, but we also in Namibia went to this abandoned mining town called Kolmanskap, that was a diamond mining town in Namibia. Pretty fucked up history for how it got to be that way. Namibia used to be a German colony, and a lot of abuses, but this old diamond mining town got abandoned in the 1950s and has just stood there and has these sand dunes that creep up the walls and stuff, and it's in the middle of nowhere, and it's really eerie and like haunted looking. And I even saw another like Chinese pre-wedding photography photo there too, and I was like, yo, Jesus, what do you want to represent about your marriage? Like, you want desolation and like abandonment and like,
at this point,
what the hell?
At this
point,
is where
you chose.
You can be a creative director for Chinese wedding photos, I think, bro.
Yeah.
You've seen it all.
I mean, I'll get into any market, man. But, as long as
that's pretty funny. That's hilarious.
It's not super messed up. If you're trying to hire someone right now and pay me ridiculous money.
But your video, beautiful. Loved it.
Oh,
the
thank
stilts. Let's talk about the stilts and the horns and stuff.
I just want to say before we move on,
ahead.
because I lost the thread about the
go
forest.
ahead. Yeah.
It just got cut down. Like, that's why I didn't go shoot there.
Oh, wow.
It's a tree farm, and then I was like planning out the video, and then I looked back and I'm like,
fucked up.
Oh, they were growing these trees because it's a fucking tree farm, and then I waited too long and they chopped it down.
Oh, wow. It's a tree farm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why they got so tall. And that's why it was so cool, is because they were like at the end of their rope.
That's been I like the wave of just kind of taking a camera dude to putting all the budget into locations.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I have a friend who does that same thing.
Yeah.
They just kind of choose a place, just take him, a small crew, 2-3 people max.
That was the formula. Like 3 people.
Yeah.
Pay the few people that are involved really well, but like trim all the fat that you can, basically.
Right.
And as many hats as you can wear yourself as an artist, wear them, learn a skill, do the carpentry. And then to answer your still question, that was, I was in the backyard with the director, like literally taking apart a pair of stilts that I bought from my stilt instructor and like re-engineering them. And I found that so gratifying and fun to like learn new skills, to be involved in all these different aspects of the creative process.
You really do that in a lot of your music videos. I remember you wanted to do like a choreographed music video. You learn dance moves and shit. Like,
oh yeah, I did that in my moral of the story video. I look back on that. I mean,
well, you don't like it?
It's like cringy, but it's also
you see, that's
like
why
it too.
when you told me, and I found out like you just wanted to do a choreographed video, and for once, like learn, like, because sometimes I think about this. I like, one of the things I wanted to do is take like a hip hop dance class this year. It's so embarrassing, like some dad shit, but like, I'm like, fuck it, just try new things, take yourself out of the element. And when I see that, I see somebody who's like gonna really just be like, I don't give a fuck what people think, and still kind of learn this new thing. And that's a hard thing for anyone to do. It's like a fearless thing. You got to really put yourself out there to do,
I agree, but I think the thing that I've been trying to keep in the back of my mind when I am learning a new skill or trying to like present me doing a new skill is like to at least have a respect for the craft.
Right.
Because with stilt walking, and there's other examples of I'm trying to think of another thing. I mean, choreo, but there's other times where I've done something. I just had a sand sculptor in a video who's like, it's these niche creative fields where the people who I've brought on as co-collaborators are at the top of their small niche field, and they have a lot of pride in the art that they do.
Right.
And if you're presenting yourself or presenting that art to the broader world, you don't want to be presenting like a bullshit version of that art, because it's a disservice to the people who are really dope at what they do. I'm not gonna be the best sand sculptor, I'm not gonna be the best stilt walker, but to at least like try to be good enough. So, and I mean, it's the same as being a rapper too, you know, like just don't make a joke out of the thing that you're doing.
100%.
If you care about it enough to try to do it excellently, even if that doesn't mean you're like, you know, the best in the world, you have respect for the craft.
Exactly. And that's why he is in an advanced stilts class right now.
Dude, I fell. I'm not getting back up on those things. I busted my rib and like.
Were the rest? Because I know you were in like a group, like there was like other tourists around you, and were they looking at you pretty crazy during that shoot?
What I thought was gonna be is we're in this location that's like, you know, a world-class photography location that people plan months out to like figure out how they're gonna get to this remote location for these few hours of sunlight to shoot these trees, and that we were gonna be like fucking up the shots of these very serious nature photographers. And I'm going to be like still walking through their very serious stuff. So I was like all prepared to be super embarrassed and like apologetic for ruining people's photography. And then I found out it was just, you know, a lot of tourists where this was one stop on their trip through Namibia. They weren't as invested. And I ended up being the most entertaining thing there for them. I became the show. Like they were like all taking pictures of me. No one was asking for permission. I was like, it was like Goofy at Disneyland or something.
It was like a bonus for them, right?
Yeah, like, they were like, fuck these trees. Like there's a dude on stilts right there.
Yeah, it's like, is this part of the show? Like,
dude, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking eat shit in front of all these tourists. They're gonna have it. I'm gonna be a meme. Like I'm gonna fall in someone else's video and then be viral on Twitter for falling. And the other crazy thing is that those trees there are like World Heritage trees. There's these tall things that if I wanted to stabilize myself and get my balance, I have something to grab onto, but I'm not allowed to touch it. Right. Because they're like antique trees that I would pull a branch off of. Right. There's these people around who are the site
they can get some serious trouble.
Yeah, I would go to like international criminal court or something.
Yeah, that's like if you go to Hawaii, like there's grounds, you know, that have like ancient rocks and stuff.
Yeah, and I wanted to be respectful too. Like I didn't want to go. It's like it could have been if I did it badly, fucked it up, was disrespectful to the environment. Like such a parody. Like white rapper goes to Africa and rips down the ancient tree forest.
You know, that's the headline for sure. That is the headline for sure.
Dude, I just really didn't want that to happen.
Let me ask you this: what is you know, you've toured all around? Have you toured Asia actually?
I played India twice.
India.
Yeah.
I mean, how's that actually? I'm curious about India. I've had almost an opportunity to go there. I haven't gone there yet. But.
I had an awesome time. I had that opportunity because I have a friend who has like made a career of concert promotion in India. Oh, cool. So it wasn't just like I'm huge in New Delhi or something.
Yeah,
so
there was like a plug you had there.
Yeah, I had a plug. I went and played a couple festivals. It's an amazing country. The food, the people, the like richness of centuries of culture. Like every city that you go to is just so chock full of like century after century of culture. Every street corner that you're on. Yeah. And it was an amazing experience. I was supported and met cool people and ate like a king. And you know, it's also there's tons of poverty and you're faced with these two realities. And I mean, I felt it most extremely in Mumbai, where you have the richest district with skyscrapers towering over these huge slums.
Yeah, the wealth gap is crazy, right?
Yeah, it's just a lot of everything. It's a lot of people, it's a lot of smells, it's a lot of culture, it's a lot of extreme poverty and human misery that you see. But I felt very alive and grateful.
Yeah, and then the energy from the crowd was great.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I wanna definitely hop along to that Watsky Asia tour eventually, if that goes down.
I mean, yeah, we'll collaborate. I'll make the India thing happen, and then I'll tag along with you to Korea. That'd be fire. Or something.
Have you seen like what your Asia fan base looks like? Like, you know, looking at any analytics or what?
As far as I know, it's non-existent. Like outside of maybe a few people in India, it pretty much like where English is spoken most heavily. That's where I have fans.
I find that interesting. We've gone to places though in Europe where, you know, English is not the number one language, and I'm not the number one, but people barely speaking. We went to Milan, and I remember not many spoke English there, but
I
it was
don't,
also,
I don't know if you remember this, but that show bombed.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
There were like 12 people at that
To
show.
be fair, that's true. That
I
is
haven't been
true.
back to Italy since then because nobody came to
You're
this
right,
big-ass
right.
warehouse show.
I will say that Europe tour was one of the most interesting
Yeah.
for me because, it was definitely outside my comfort zone. And in going to these places, we drove around Europe,
Yeah.
took ferries, and we were in places that like I never thought we would have toured, because there's these European stops usually through festivals, but these were just like we're playing venues like a band, like a local band who's traveling through Europe. It was sick. That's
the power of the internet, man. It's crazy.
that was fire, bro. I remember that Milan show particularly because the English was not
No.
getting through.
No, I did a TV appearance on an Italian TV station.
Yeah.
Where they just asked me questions in Italian, and I was like, and my response would be like, yeah, I don't know what you just asked me, but like I'm really excited for the show tonight,
That's
and like
hilarious.
it's gonna be great. Like we're all loving Italy, and then they would pretend that they understood me, and then ask another question in Italian. And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It was like we were having completely different conversations and pretending we understood each other.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, what you've dabbled in so much stuff with like writing books to even doing a web series, and I was inspired to do my web series off of yours actually, and I connected through the same people. We had the same production company that did that, and I was wondering like if there was any interest in for you to expand into other mediums. I mean, you've already kind of dabbled in it, but from here on,
Yeah,
moving forward.
I've been trying to speak a novel into existence for like 3 years since I wrote my essay collection. and I
Fiction or
just-
nonfiction?
Fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah, I've done so much autobiographical writing for most of my life that I
Right.
really want to turn that corner
That could be sick.
and write other people's stories. I just haven't been able to carve the time out, and I really wanted to do it before this tour, but I didn't make it happen, and I'm not used to setting goals like that and not accomplishing them. So hopefully after this tour I will. What I really want to do is be able to write a novel and then turn it into a screenplay, and make some inroads to like narrative filmmaking too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I feel like music videos have been sort of a training ground to learn about film, and
Right.
that's if I could dream up my 5-year from now world, I'd be touring 3 months out of the year, or like 3 months or 4 months every other year or something, and then I'd be writing a book, writing a screenplay, doing narrative stuff on the side.
Is that where you like where you enjoy yourself the most as an entertainer, like as an artist on stage?
I love
What part of
being on
the
stage.
process is your favorite actually? Like, is it in the studio, is it on stage, or
It's a tie between the live show and making music videos.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I love making videos because filmmaking is the most collaborative art form in the world. Every art form comes together into filmmaking, and I love collaborating with talented people and just building ideas together.
I do too. I find
yeah.
that to be one of the most stressful though. Out of all the sections, the music video part is stressful, and it's very stressful afterwards when you're going back and forth with the footage. I feel like sometimes I'll get like edit, and like I dread opening the email.
I started editing my own stuff.
Oh, really?
Or at least editing it with the director. So
Yeah,
like we're
that's
going back
great.
and forth.
That's
with
good.
it.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's the way to do it. And yeah, I mean, and just for all the cats out there, every independent artist, you're pretty much co-directing the music video always. You're always there and helping out. There's like only a few videos I was like, take the wheel.
Yeah.
I
I did that a couple times. I let my buddy Carlos take the wheel on this one. Actually, like one of my most serious songs about 3 perspectives of a shooter, which is kind of similar in some ways to Eminem's new song, except that I like also did the newscaster and then a politician reflecting on this like shooting event, and then Carlos directed a video that's me playing like a shepherd with all these sheep doing dances, and it was like the most left field possible way to take that video.
Right.
But just
Yeah.
gave him the keys.
I had a homie do the same thing. New York Nico, who has amazing Instagram.
Oh yeah, dude,
Yeah.
He did my stupid ass video like
word.
8 years ago
Yeah.
as Ricky Shabazz.
Yeah,
the
Ricky
Boom Bap
Shabazz
Boys.
and the Boom Bap Boys. I didn't know we have a
Yeah.
video, but that's
He went to Emerson.
Oh, word! That's
Yeah.
crazy. I feel very lucky.
Nick Heller.
Yeah, Nick Heller. I'm very lucky to have a music video by him because he's doing some amazing stuff too.
Shout out Nick Heller.
Nick Heller, one of the rare ones who have a music video by Nick Heller too. He hasn't done music
Yeah.
videos in years, but he had this one treatment he was like, I've been really wanting to shoot this thing. It had nothing to do with the thing. Guy in a hot dog suit getting beat up, ketchup and mustard pouring out. It's like acid tripped out. But man, it turned out so fucking good. I loved it. I loved the video.
Yeah, no, he's got a really twisted sense of humor and aesthetic, and I think at that point where I did the stupid ass video, like I was not doing like, I think my stuff's gotten a little darker and a little more out there, but at that point Nick was like way further along the curve than me in terms of being willing to push the envelope with that stuff. So I'm glad that I worked with him.
Yeah, I had him on the pod too, actually.
Cool.
It's a small world. Like you went to college with him. Nora, my friend Aquafina, worked at a video store with him when they were 15. Like,
whoa, so pre-college.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like so in high school.
Is he from Queens then?
He's from New York. I don't know if he's from Queens, but yeah, he's definitely New York. But it's so crazy. Yeah, they know each other, and then I met him because when he was doing all these music videos, I wanted to get a music video done by him, so reached out.
Yeah, he's got that iconic little like video teaser. Ricky Shabazz.
Yeah, boom bap boys. And then he has one of my favorite Instagram accounts like out right now. It's just fire.
Unofficial casting director of New York City.
He's really like the new age street photographer of New York City. You know what I mean? Like the classic days of New York street photographers. He's kind of like the new version of that with little Instagram videos. I fucking love it. Well, George, thanks for stopping by. I've was very curious about some of the creative process because I'm trying to like just bite it, and but I'm always inspired by all the work you're doing. Like every project, there's something new, videos popping up. We don't catch up often, but I'm definitely watching.
Let's just like actually get a drink sometime.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
let's do it. I don't know what you're drinking nowadays. If you're drinking alcohol, kombucha. I don't know what the fuck you're on.
I'm not a kombucha guy, man.
You don't fuck with kombucha?
No,
you see, y'all. I know what you guys don't judge a book by its cover. I know you thought he drank kombucha. No kombucha.
Go drink some whiskey somewhere.
Yeah, let's do it. I haven't been drinking. I'm more like a clear soda guy now.
Oh, are you teetotaling? You're not drinking alcohol?
No, I drink alcohol, but I'm saying I drink like vodka soda or like tequila soda. I don't do whiskey no more. I used to be like whiskey, Jameson.
How about mezcal? Is that too whiskey-ish?
Mezcal's cool. I don't know if I like that smokiness. You know what I mean? Like that little smoky taste. But I know mezcal is like the bougie tequila.
We're also allowed to go get drinks and drink different things from each other. People do that.
It's like, how are we going to make this work? Let's compromise. But look out for George's next album coming out. It hasn't been announced.
Yeah, it will have been at this point. Placement.
Okay, placement and music videos following up. And then the tour.
Yep.
Which should be happening when this comes out.
Yeah, starts in late March, going out with Travis Thompson, who's the man, and a bunch of other awesome people.
Awesome, man. Thank you for coming, brother.
Thank you.
Tune in next week for another episode of Fun with Dumb.